Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today I have a review for Obi-Wan Kenobi, the latest Disney Plus series that just wrapped up its series finale. We're not quite sure yet, which kind of mimics how Obi-Wan Kenobi works as a whole, because it also doesn't really know where it's going for the majority of its runtime. Now, I am a huge Star Wars fan, and specifically a huge Disney Star Wars fan. I really got into this galaxy from a long time ago, around the time that The Force Awakens was coming out, and I really enjoyed, to differing degrees, all of what Star Wars has given me in the past. I can find something to enjoy and pop on with any of the previous Star Wars films and television series. However, I think this year has been a really trying time for Star Wars, both with the Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I think it has cemented that Star Wars, as it currently stands, is suffering from a lack of creativity. Obi-Wan Kenobi ultimately suffers because it falls prey to tired and tedious storylines and tropes that Star Wars fans have come to expect by now. A preemptive fear seems to be brewing among the people at Lucasfilm ever since The Last Jedi came out, where they're afraid of their audience, they have a desire to please their audience, and so they just tend to do these same redundant storylines that the Star Wars fans have always enjoyed. But I think it's hurting Star Wars because this is a franchise that changed Hollywood, and you could just say changed history. The face of our entertainment landscape forever changed with Star Wars. I mean, you could even look at it as BSW and ASW, before and after Star Wars. But I think Star Wars does itself a disservice when it plays it safe, because I don't think anything can achieve something thematically, artistically, or even be something that is just passively enjoyable if it's playing it safe. Because in the end, you're not going to remember the story if the story has already been told before. There are scenes and sequences that I think we'll remember, but it's important to know that they are moments. They don't feel like they're contributing to a larger whole. It just feels like they are sticking out more because the show overall isn't at the level that it should be. This show survives on the recognition and the love that fans have for Star Wars, especially the prequel era, which I think is smart to tap into that, because a lot of kids who love those movies, and also just fans in general, want to see more developments within their corner of Star Wars. And I think that's what this show could have been. But what we got was a show that just seemed to really have no current purpose. It's not adding anything to these classic elements that we love so much. Now, if you were following my YouTube Shorts reviews that I was doing every Wednesday after I watched the episode, you know that I really loved this series when it debuted. Those first two episodes, I think, were the show's highlights. There was such a rush to those episodes. The element of surprise I felt watching those scenes play out. I did enjoy the production design, especially in that second episode. I thought they were doing a really stellar job at expanding the Star Wars mythos with some really great space locales. It felt great to finally see what it was like to be occupied by the Empire. I love the scene when they're looking for Obi-Wan in the first episode and Reva chops off that person's hand. There was a real threat. I also really enjoyed the dynamic between Kenobi and Leia. But it just seemed that right after episode 2, the show just stalled. Either because there was issues with the production, maybe COVID had something to do with it, or what I probably think is the case, there's not much they can do within this section of the timeline that this show takes place in. You can't really do anything with Obi-Wan and Vader that makes a huge impact because episode 4 exists. Luke and Leia really can't do anything together because they're not supposed to know they exist. And so this show, because it wants to connect to these already established characters, it just feels dry and weightless because it can't really do anything. And this is where I think I'm looking forward to Taika Waititi's next Star Wars movie, because he's talked about how it's going to be new characters. And I think that's what we need right now. This series is showing us the problems with always trying to go back to characters and places and things that we already know, because at some point, not only are we going to run out of ideas to do original things with them, but we've written them into a corner where they really can't do anything without breaking the canon we've already established. Ewan McGregor, I think, does what he can with a role that hasn't really been given that much dimension. He's kind of doing Last Jedi light in terms of Luke's arc in The Last Jedi, where he's given up on the Force because of his protege turning on him and becoming this evil Sith Lord. It kind of just feels so much like The Last Jedi, but not taking the same big swings that Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill did. Moses Ingram, I think, is doing a really nice job here with Reva, a very interesting character when the show started, but as it went forward and we learned more about her, they never really established why, if this character was so hurt because of what the Sith Lords did, why then she was willing to cut off people's hands. I will say that a lot of the Force scenes were pretty cool here. I loved episode 4 when they were at the Inquisitor stronghold and how Kenobi was holding in the water and then he was running from the rushing waves in the corridor. A lot of that stuff was cool. I thought the duel between Vader and Kenobi was pretty good. It was pretty strong. Though I want to give props to Mr. Hayden Christensen because somehow, I cannot believe this, and I never understood the hate that he got. I thought, when you're acting alongside future Academy Award winner Natalie Portman, and she's delivering as stale as a performance as you are, I don't think it's their fault. I think it was clearly the direction and the writing. So I never got why we just put so much hate on him. And by the time episode 3 comes to an end, I actually thought he was pretty good. But I gotta give him the credit because he delivers the best performance in this show. Through a commanding physical performance that is matched in the only moments I felt where the show found a way to give us some nuance and subtlety. When that mask cracks in the final episode, there was just such power in those moments. I thought Christensen really did a nice job of bridging Anakin Skywalker into the villain that we know from episode 4. So overall, this show is definitely a mixed bag for me. There were moments that I absolutely loved, caught between a narrative that was desperately trying to reach the gravitas and spectacle of the Skywalker saga. So I hope that if this show continues, and just Star Wars on Disney Plus going forward, I hope they remember that what's most important is the story. And I think whether you look at The Mandalorian Season 2, which was basically just a pit stop with every Dave Filoni created character in one episode or another, or the Book of Boba Fett that just changes who the main character is halfway through, or now Obi-Wan Kenobi that failed to stall its story halfway because it really didn't come up with anything original, as if they were improvising the show as they were going along. Because when all is said and done, I much rather prefer a show or a film that takes a risk, a bold change of pace that delivers such vibrant energy into a long-standing franchise. Because I definitely think that there's an issue with your story if by the time we get to the end of it, I'm looking back and wondering what the point even was to go down this narrative pathway. So that's my review of Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 1, and let me know what you think. Do you want the show to continue, or are you good with what this is and we'll get another corner of the galaxy in Andor or any story going forward? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe not to miss any new videos from Spoilers Ahead with Anthony Post. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you at the movies.